Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey everyone, a little disclaimer before today's episode. I've been sick over this last week, and so my voice is definitely more scratchy and congested than normal. So please bear with me. Hopefully by next week, I'll be back to normal. But I wanted to make sure I got part 3 out today and not delay it any further. Thanks for your understanding. It was the night of July 18th, 2014, hours after Dan Markel had been shot in his driveway, and just before he would pass away from his injuries in the hospital. Charlie Adelson, according to his testimony, was at work when he got a call from his mom, Donna, telling him that Dan had been shot. He was upset, he said.
After you got off the phone with your mom, what did you do?
I went back to work.
Okay. And did you have some communications with people after that through text messages about how you were feeling?
I did.
And generally speaking, how were you feeling?
I wasn't feeling great. I was pretty upset about what I just heard.
He left the office he was working at in Jupiter, Florida after 8 p.m. He said he made numerous phone calls, including to his then-girlfriend, Katie Magbanua. He told her that his former brother-in-law had been shot and that he didn't feel like going out. He said she seemed concerned and said she would come over. He also talked to his mom again. He said his parents were planning on heading up to Tallahassee to be with his sister Wendy.
Now, you've seen text messages in this case where there's some indication your mom says outside your house, and 20 minutes later, after that text message, you say 10 minutes. Do you recall those text messages?
Yes, I do.
According to Katie's testimony, after she arrived at his house that night, Charlie told her that his parents had just left and that he then had all that money to pay her for the hit.
Did you see your parents that evening?
No, not at all.
Okay. When your mom says outside your house, does that mean to you that she was actually at your house?
No, it meant that she was passing by my house outside it on the vicinity, seeing if I was home.
On the phone call that you had with your mom on the way home, did you discuss anything about your parents stopping at your house?
Yeah, I said, text me when you're close. If I'm home, stop by and see me, because my house is a football field length away from the exit of the turnpike.
And when they were close, were you anywhere near your house?
No, and I missed their text. I didn't get home for 40 minutes after that text came through.
He said he got home, took a shower, and played phone tag with Katie to see where she was at. He said Katie got to his house at about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does. And she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day. But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, are you okay? So she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, just come sit down. I need to talk to you.
They walked into his living room, and then, according to Charlie, she told him something that would change his life forever. Something that would eventually land him in the very courtroom he was now sitting in as a defendant. In today's episode, I will conclude my 3-part series into the Charlie Adelson trial. As I mentioned at the end of part 2, even after this trial ended, just days later, it would become obvious that this case was still far from over, as they say. This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie, episode 258, part 3. According to what Charlie Adelson told a jury at his murder trial, he wasn't the one who orchestrated the murder of Dan Markel. He said just hours after Dan was shot, his girlfriend Katie told him that she was actually the one responsible.
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And she said, listen, this is all my fault, but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
What did you say?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $250,000.
How did you react?
I was like, what did you just say? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $250,000.
What happened next? I
stood up, and I started cursing it. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And she's like, no. I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, I don't want to say. I can't say. And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, no, I'm not telling you. And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen. And I'm like, Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of paying for a murder. This is insane.
He said she told him that if he didn't pay the money within 48 hours, they would kill him.
I said, Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now.
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry. And she's like, look, I'm not extorting you. She's like, I got dragged into this the same way you got dragged into this. She's like, it's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you. So she's like, she goes, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the police? She goes, you go to the police, they'll kill you.
He was asked if she said they would just kill him or if they would kill other people too.
She said he'd come after you, he'd come after the family. Like, Charlie, you don't have a choice. Just pay the money. You said you had the cash. You said you were going to pay a third. Like, just do it. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
What did you do then?
I said, Katie, I don't have $250,000 in cash. And she's like, you said you did. And I was like, no, I cash is, and I can write a check for $250,000. I don't need to take out a loan. And she's like, well, you have a ton of money in your safe. And I said, Katie, I don't have that much in my safe. I do have a lot. And I said, come take a look. And I walked over to my safe. I opened it up. And I'm like, here, take a look. And I took it out in piles and put it on the dresser next to us. And I said, go ahead and count. That's not $250,000.
And did she count it?
Yes, she did.
How much money did she count?
$138,000.
So it wasn't $100,000. It was $138,000.
Correct.
What did she do with $138,000?
She put it in she had a big purse. She put it in her purse. And she asked me, she goes, how can you get the rest? And I'm like, hey, that's all the cash I've saved up from forever. And she said, can you go to your parents and get it? And I was like, if I go to my parents, my dad will go to the cops in a second. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop my dad from going to the police. Like, I could never say anything to him.
What happened next?
She asked me, she said, well, can you pay like $3,000 a month? And I said, yeah, I can do that.
He said at this point in time, he had no idea that Katie was part of the extortion.
She kept saying it was all her fault and that she didn't know any of this was going to happen. And she was upset.
He said she took her purse, keys, and phone and went outside to call her friend. She was going to see if the money and payment plan would work. He said he paced around and then sat on his coffee table, in shock at what had just happened.
What happened when she came back in the house?
She came in the house and she was being the good guy and telling me that she's going to look out after me and she's so sorry this happened. The same thing she was saying beforehand. And that she was going to make sure that nobody pays me a visit. And she's like, I spoke to him. You can pay $3,000 a month or you can pay the rest off. She goes, but the $3,000 a month you're paying doesn't go towards the balance.
What did you do after she told you that?
I just said fine, and I walked downstairs into the kitchen, and I was shaking, and I took a bar of Xanax.
Where did you go?
And I walked outside from the kitchen through the sliders into the backyard. I closed the sliding glass door behind me. I think she got the picture. I wanted to be alone.
He said when he came back into the house, Katie was again apologetic and saying that her friend was crazy. She spent the night that night. He was asked why he didn't kick her out. He said he was in a state of shock and didn't think she had anything to do with it. He didn't want to believe that she did. He said he eventually passed out after texting his parents to see if they had made it to Orlando yet on their way to Tallahassee. He said Katie left early the next morning.
She told me, whatever you do, she said, please don't tell anybody about what happened. Like, don't tell anybody about this. Never talk about this, never talk about it on the phone. She said, never call me up and start talking about this. And the last thing she said to me is like, can we just pretend like this never even happened?
He testified that he didn't leave the house that day on July 19th. He took more Xanax, trying to relax, and slept a bunch. He said he talked to his parents that morning and found out that Dan had died. He called Wendy right away to see how she was and how her and Dan's boys were.
Now, you're home alone the entire day of the 19th. Did you think about going to the police?
I thought about it, but I thought I'm going to get killed if I go to the police. It's not going to bring Dan back. It just seemed like a bad idea.
Over the days following, did you continue to go back and forth about whether to go to the police or not?
Every time I thought about it, I thought through what could happen to me, what would be the benefit versus the pros versus the cons.
And why didn't you go to the police?
I thought if I went to the police that they'd kill me.
Charlie's attorney, Dan Rashbaum, asked him about text messages he exchanged with Katie that day on July 19th.
And their text messages about the weather and pool and Catherine McBanowa going to the pool. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
What are those text messages about?
I was trying to show her that I was trying to pretend like this didn't even happen. Like, I think one of the texts said, I'm going to the gym. I didn't go to the gym that day. My phone will show I never left my house.
Now, you say that she said that you could pay all at once or you could pay $3,000 a month. That's what her friend would accept, right?
Yes.
Did you think about paying it all at once?
I thought about it. I thought, if I'll do it and it'll get these people out of my life forever. But then I thought, this is extortion. One thing I know about extortion is it never ends. So if I paid it all at once, I thought that may be more of a reason that they come kill me. Or if I pay it all off, they're going to come back and ask for more money.
He testified that in the days following the extortion, he started sleeping with a gun on his nightstand and started carrying it on him. He also got cameras installed at his house and his office at the Adelson Institute. He said he was worried about his safety and fully expected these people would come and kill him. He said he didn't tell anyone about the extortion because Katie had told him not to.
Let's get back to Wendy.
Okay.
So I think you said Wendy was a mess.
Yeah.
Did there come a time when you went out to dinner with your sister?
Yes.
And how long after the murder was that?
I'd say it was about 2 weeks after, maybe even a hair more, but around about 2 weeks.
And what happened when you went out to dinner with her?
I picked her up. I said, what do you feel like getting? You want to get pizza? You want to get sushi? And she's like, I love sushi. So I said, all right, I'll take you to this. Like, I'll take you to a really good place for sushi.
Where did you go?
We went to a restaurant called Juvia. And it's actually a pretty fancy sushi place.
What happened during the dinner?
She got really sick. When we got to the restaurant, we didn't have a reservation or anything. They sat us at the bar. They served us a drink at the bar. And it was one of those like martinis that have like 3 shots in them, so they're strong. And then we sat at the dinner table.
Were you drinking and celebrating the death of Professor Markel?
Absolutely not. We sat at the bar waiting for a table for an hour, and then when we sat at the table, we each had one drink.
Charlie testified that he broke up with Katie about a week after the extortion. He said it wasn't a surprise to her and that she knew it was coming. He said he saw her once in August to pay her the $3,000 for her friend. He said it was in cash.
When you gave her the cash in August, did she make any request of you?
Yes, she did.
What request did she make?
She said, look, none of this money's going to her. She's giving all the money to her friend. She said, can you do me a favor? I need to get health insurance for my kids. Like, I'm helping you out. Nobody's going to ever pay you a visit. Can you give me $2,000 in cash for my friend and write me a check for $1,000 every month? And that way, she said she'll cash it, give the money to her friend, and then that way she can get health insurance for her kids.
Did you say to her, Catherine, we just did a murder. I can't put you on the books of the business because that creates a paper trail?
No, we didn't just do a murder. I just got extorted.
He said he agreed, no problem. He wanted to keep her happy. He called his mom and said he wanted to put Katie on the payroll at the office for $1,000 a month. He said he told his mom to write him a bundle of checks at a time.
Why did you want your mom to give you a bundle of checks at a time?
Because I only planned on seeing her one time a month, and that was to make the extortion payment. So I figured if I gave her 4 or 5 checks each time, that's all I planned on seeing her.
When he went to pick up the checks from his mom, he went to his parents' place. His mom was home, and he said she was persistent in asking why he was giving Katie money every month.
I told her that the night of the 18th, I got extorted for $333,000.
How did your mom react?
She flipped out. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, what is this about? Like, you know who killed Dan?
What did she want to do?
She wanted to go to the police.
And what did you tell her?
I said, absolutely not. I said, it's not going to bring Dan back. I go, you're just going to end up getting me killed, or they'll come after somebody in the family.
He said he and his mom agreed to never say anything to anyone, including not to his dad, Harvey, or Wendy. Rashbaum then asked about the gifts Charlie had given to Katie after the murder.
The gifts were me trying to keep Katie happy. And I didn't think Katie was any part of this extortion at all because she was constantly broke. I mean, she'd be hitting me up for $300. I mean, there's no way that she was getting that $3,000 and then asking me for $300 or running short on this or running short on that or can't pay a car bill.
He said Katie never told him who was extorting him, but he had a pretty good idea of who it was. He was asked about some of the wiretap phone calls between him and his mom, Donna, that were introduced as evidence. In their first call after the FBI conducted their bump, Donna said she had some paperwork delivered to her. Charlie testified that at first, he had no idea what she was talking about.
Do you think it has anything to do with either your extortion or Professor Markel's murder at this point in time?
No, not at all.
Why are you asking so many questions?
My mom, I know my mom my whole life. She's talking weird on the phone. It's like something's obvious. I can tell something's bothering her, but she's beating around the bush.
Now, your mom says, you say, does it involve me or other people? And your mom responds, well, probably both of us. Probably the two of us. So you probably have a general idea of what I'm talking about. And I want to focus on those statements. Okay? When she says that to you, did you have any clue what she was talking about?
No, I think I asked her a few more questions after that.
Now, as the calls progress, do you know what she's talking about?
By the time I got to the end of the third call, I knew exactly what she was talking about. I felt like I knew pretty much what she was talking about.
He said he realized that she was getting extorted. She said the two of us because she knew he had been extorted 2 years prior.
You understand the state's theory is that this murder conspiracy was, in addition to Katie, Sigfredo, and Luis Rivera, you, your mom, your dad, your sister. Do you understand that?
I do now, yeah.
She doesn't say probably the four of us, does she?
No, she does not.
She doesn't say all of us, does she?
No.
In another call, Donna had said to him, this TV is probably about 5.
Did TV, was it a code word?
There is absolutely no code word involving TV whatsoever.
He said he reached out to Katie right after getting off the phone with his mom because he wanted to see if her same friend that was extorting him was now trying to extort his mom. He explained that he met his mom at his parents' place to talk about the bump. He said they went for a walk and sat on a park bench. An undercover agent had previously testified that he followed them but couldn't hear what they were saying. He said his mom was scared and wanted to go to the police. But Charlie said he was thinking it was either Sigfredo or the police themselves. He was asked about the Dolce Vita recording, where he and Katie then met up to discuss the bump. He testified that at that time, he wasn't concerned about it being the police because he knew they hadn't done anything wrong. He said he wanted Katie to find out who it was.
Now, throughout this recording, several times, you try to sound tough. Is that the case?
Absolutely.
You say, I carry a gun on me, right?
Yes, I said that.
If someone comes up to me, they better be ready to shoot because I'm going to shoot them. Someone come up to me asking for money in my house. When the fucking police show up and there's a doctor, there's an oral surgeon standing there with a dead gang member in his fucking driveway, they're not going to come down too hard on me. I'll take a break right there. Why are you talking tough?
I want to let her know, like, I've had enough. Like, and they're messing with my mom. They messed with me. Like, I've literally just had enough, and I'm trying to send that message.
Why do you bring up a gang member?
Because 45 minutes earlier, when I was sitting in the car with Katie, she told me that Luis Rivera was the head of the Latin Kings, and that's who the second extortion was, a Latin King gang member who was extorting my parents, which was actually the FBI, but it was...
Immediately after you say those lines, though, you say, and I'm not going to talk anyway. Why do you say that? You're being tough, and then you say, and I'm not going to talk anyway. Yeah. Why do you say that?
Because I didn't want to scare her into thinking that I'm some kind of loose end, that at any point was I going to the police. I was making it clear that at no point I was going to the police.
As for when he said, these people only know part of the story.
I'm saying they didn't mention my name. They don't even know I was extorted. And that they only know part of the story. They know about the checks that my mom was writing to you, or they think they know part of the story. They don't realize that that was payment for an extortion, not payment for a murder.
So whoever's doing this thinks that you did a murder because they don't know that you were extorted.
Exactly.
He was asked about another moment on the recording when he referenced Katie giving them the money the next day.
How did you know about the money drop? Let me ask that question.
Okay. Katie told me that the next day she brought the money to Luis and Sigfredo Garcia.
When did she tell you that?
She told me that in the car 30 minutes earlier. Now,
when you're asking this question, who is the everybody that you are referring to?
Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera.
He told the jury that he finally came around to believing the person trying to extort his mom for money was the police, and that they thought he had something to do with Dan's murder. After Sigfredo and Luis were arrested, he said he never spoke to Katie again. His attorney friend advised him not to, and he said she never called him either.
With regards to Catherine Magbanua, when the arrests occurred of Catherine Magbanua, did you still think that she was not guilty?
Yes. When
did that opinion change, and when did you realize that she was actually the person behind the extortion?
It wasn't till 2019 when she went to trial, and she said that she never knew who Dan Markel was. She didn't say anything about what really happened. I found out then that she was cheating on me with Sigfredo Garcia, and she was sleeping with him at the same time she was with me. She was lying about that. And then I saw her bank account, and then I was like, this girl's not broke. Like, I was getting played, and I saw all the money that was piling into her bank account.
And did all the pieces then start to come together for you?
Yeah. I realized what happened.
He was asked if after the bump and after the arrests, his personality changed, and he said that was true.
Yes, it is.
Why did your personality change?
I mean, the police thought that I was part of a murder. They're releasing a probable cause affidavit saying that they want to arrest me for murder. I didn't have anything to do with the murder. I knew that there wouldn't be any evidence to show I had anything to do with the murder. But, you know, it's scary as hell to think that you're one signature away from losing your life.
He agreed that he would get upset anytime he saw or heard news about this case. He said that's because he knew what had happened, but couldn't say anything.
Charlie, I'm going to ask you again. Did you have anything to do with the murder of Professor Dan Markel?
Absolutely not.
Were you a principal in his first-degree murder?
Absolutely not.
Did you conspire in any way to murder him?
Absolutely not.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can go to jordanharbinger.com/subscribe. Prosecutor Georgia Kappelman looked incredulous when she started her cross-examination.
Mr. Adelson, is it doctor?
It is, yes.
All right, doctor. Have you ever heard the saying that the simplest explanation is always the most likely? Have you heard that?
I've heard that theory before, yeah.
Was your explanation to the jury over the last little over a day the simplest explanation?
It was the truth.
You have a thorough explanation. Would you agree with that?
I told you what happened.
Do you agree that the only problem with having an explanation for everything is that there's just so many explanations?
There's no explanation. I explained what happened.
I want to go through some of that. You claim that you were extorted on July 18th, 2014 by Catherine Magbanua and also in the background, some Latin kings, probably Garcia and Rivera, right? Is that accurate?
No, I wasn't extorted by Catherine Magbanua.
You weren't?
That's not what I believed in 2014.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understood you to say you believe that today.
Today I do, yes.
All right, so who extorted you?
I believe that it was Catherine Magbanua's friend that she ran her mouth to.
Okay.
And that's 2014.
Right, but as you sit here today, you think it's Magbanua, Garcia, and Rivera. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate.
Okay. Who extorted you?
as I sit here today, I believe that it was Catherine Magbanua, and I believe Sigfredo Garcia, but I don't know for sure. I was never there when she was ever talking to him, so I don't know if he was in on it with her or not.
All right. At the time, though, you did not think she was guilty. You got that right. The time of the extortion.
In 2014?
Yes.
Correct.
He agreed that his testimony was that he found out that Katie was a part of the extortion at her first trial in 2019.
And so she was arrested in 2016, right?
Yes.
All right. So for 3 years, she was in the Leon County Jail awaiting trial, yes?
She was there.
And you believed she was innocent.
Yes.
And you had this whole explanation to assist with exonerating her, right?
I have the truth of what happened, yes.
But you didn't offer the truth of what happened, did you?
Nobody came to me. I thought the truth would come out.
Does someone have to come to you?
I was told not to talk to Katie and not to talk to anybody about this case by counsel.
She asked him if Katie was the only one who ever contacted him about the extortion, and he said yes.
So you never actually had any contact with any Latin King?
No.
No phone calls?
No phone calls.
No texts?
No.
No letters?
Well, in 2016, you're talking about in 14, right?
I'm talking about the first layer of the extortion. Did you have any contact with the thugs that were getting your money for 2 years?
No.
Did anybody put a gun to your head?
I was told that I would be killed in 48 hours if I didn't pay up.
I heard you say that, but
Yeah.
My question is, did anyone put a gun to your head?
You're asking me, did anyone pull a gun on me?
That's what
Is
I
that
asked
your question? No, nobody pulled a firearm on me.
All right, so when Catherine Magbanua came to you on July 18th and said, open the safe and give me all your money, she was not armed.
She was not carrying a gun that day,
And
no.
were you armed at that time? Did you have a weapon in your home?
I had weapons in my safe, yes.
Were you led to believe or told that the bad guys are outside, right outside your apartment or your residence?
No, but I was led to believe what they did to Dan, they were going to do to me.
I heard you say that, but my question is, did she say, like, the car's running, I'm going to take the money out there to him right now?
No, she never told me that they were waiting for me outside my house.
In fact, she stayed the night with you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And didn't exit your house with your $138,000 until the next day, right?
Correct.
She asked if that $138,000 was stapled, and he said yes. She asked him if stapling his money was unusual. He said he doesn't know if anyone else ever did that, just that he did.
Would you agree, Doctor, that it's a compelling piece of evidence that the killers were paid in stapled money and came up with that information in this case?
It's not compelling. The people who extorted me and got my money got it from my house, and it was stapled at my house.
They had to have gotten it from you, right? Because it was stapled.
If they got it from Katie, they got it from me.
So it had to be some kind of, I paid, but I did it under duress, based on that piece of evidence, right? That had to be built into your defense.
I was extorted, and I paid the money.
Prosecutor Kappelman asked if he ever suspected that Katie was working with the police when she asked for all the money in his safe.
Maybe she's trying to set you up?
No, she didn't say I need all the money in your safe. That's not what she said.
Did she take all the money in your safe?
I cleaned out all the money in my safe and handed it to her.
Right. Why did you do that?
Because I was being extorted for $250,000.
But why didn't you? The bump was only $5,000, and you immediately became suspicious and questioning and had all these conversations and deliberations about what to do about it for days. When Katie comes to you, you just open the safe and give her the money, right?
That's what I did, and there's a big difference between the two.
Okay, well, the way that it was done to you, is that the way it's done?
You have to be more specific. Please.
Well, on the wire, you say repeatedly, that's not the way it's done. You knew that the undercover agent was law enforcement, or at least strongly suspected, because That's not the way it's done. And my question to you is, since you're an expert on extortion, because you've been extorted before and that's how you knew that's not the way it's done, is this the way it's done? Do extortionists send a girlfriend of their victim to collect their extortion money? Is that the way it's done, doctor?
I'm telling you what happened to me. And I was told that if I didn't pay in 48 hours, I would be killed. The person that came and extorted my mom, that was not the same approach as what happened to me.
Is that the only way? That's the only way it's done? They send the girlfriend?
It's the only time I've ever been extorted like that.
She asked why he was told to pay $1/3 instead of $1 million. He said that's the number he had told Katie he was willing to pay when he told her about his family's offer to Dan.
And then you didn't have the amount of money that was being demanded at the time, right?
No, I only had what I had.
All right. And at that point, the blackmailer, Catherine Magbanowa, negotiates some type of layaway plan for you to complete the extortion with the Latin Kings?
Okay. Katie wasn't the blackmailer, and Katie wasn't the one who was extorting me.
Didn't you just tell this jury that Katie was the blackmailer? You realized it in 2019.
I had thought that when you were just talking, you were talking about 2014. You were talking about that night. Okay. So that night happened in 2014.
Okay. We all know now, because you have revealed the puzzle piece, she's a blackmailer. Can we agree on that?
I believe, sitting here in 2023,
yes,
that she was in on the extortion for sure.
Yes. So is it okay if I refer to her as a blackmailer?
I think there's a difference between blackmail and extortion, but yeah, okay. Sitting here today, we can. Sure.
We'll refer to her as an extortionist. So this woman, the extortionist, is going to do you a solid by negotiating with the Latin Kings for you to get on a payment plan for the extortion. Isn't that what happened?
What you're doing is you're taking what we know in 2003 and trying to say, this is what I knew in 2014.
Did she put you on a payment plan?
Yes, she said, because I didn't have the money, she said, ask me if I could pay $3,000 a month in 2014. And I said, yes, I can.
She pointed out that during his direct testimony, he mentioned the word extortion 123 times.
But nowhere, even in the midst of this whole second extortion, it's happening again. It's an extension of the same thing. Do you mention anything about this layer one of the extortion? Do you?
Yes, actually I did.
Okay.
If you pull up the video from Matsuri when I was sitting with my dad and I said, and the funny thing is, that's what I whispered in his ear.
Right, but we can't hear that.
Right, because that's my point. I never wanted anybody to hear what had happened. I never wanted the police to come talk to me. But if you put up that video, you'll actually see me saying that into my dad's ear, and that's why I went in and said it. And that's what we were talking about at the time. So
at Matsuri, the only time you mention the extortion, it's in a whisper that is not picked up by the microphones, right?
Intentionally, yes.
Yes. And that was intentional at the time, but it sucks for your defense, right? Because that would be a huge piece of evidence for you to show this jury, wouldn't it?
No, I think you'd come up with a reason why that I said it anyway.
She asked if he ever said anything on the wire about the first layer of extortion.
I did, actually, when I would be on the wire with my mom and I would say, it's not the same person. Like, that was in reference to what happened to me, and she knew that.
What call do you say it's not the same person?
Okay, you want to know what call? It was Tuesday, the 26th. And I said it's at the end of the call. It was a 2-minute and something call.
April 26th?
April 26th, 2016. It was a 2-minute and something call. It was towards the very end. And I go, I know it's not done like this. It's 48 hours, just enough time. It's not the same person. So you can look it up.
Okay, I'm with you. It's not the same person you were referencing as the person that blackmailed me years ago and has been blackmailing me for years.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
It's not the same person that's extorting me, correct.
All right.
She told him she wanted to go back to Wendy, who was in the process of relocating back to Miami after Dan's murder.
So she's going to be moving significantly closer to the killers that had threatened her life.
She wasn't planning it wasn't a permanent move or anything that was planned. I think she took a suitcase with her.
But she's your family member, yes. She's much closer to the one they've already killed than you, right?
Say it again?
She's much closer. She's got much deeper connections to the person they've already killed. That's Dan Markel, than you do.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason to fear for her safety because these killers have come, they've just killed Dan, and now they're saying they're going to kill another one. It could be Wendy, right?
She has no idea what's going on.
Exactly. But you let her move from Tallahassee to Miami where you knew the killers were located. That's my point. Do you agree with that?
The killers were able to find Dan Markel in Tallahassee. They have a car.
They were. But would you rather live in Tallahassee or in Miami if the killers are in Miami?
I think if these people want to find you, they'll find you. Okay. I mean, looking at Luis Rivera, I don't think a distance would stop him.
She asked him about how he testified that he bought security cameras for his house and work after he was extorted.
Isn't it true, Doctor, that you'd been planning to install those cameras for some time before the murder?
I actually already had cameras at my house that I had installed in 2008. The technology from 2008 to 2014 had changed a lot when it came to cameras.
I think you mentioned that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think you mentioned all that on direct. I'm referring to this particular update that was done post-homicide. You were in communication with this camera guy, and I think your lawyer mentioned this. You had 84 text messages with him dating back to January 20th of 2014 in regards to the update that occurred post-murder. Do you agree with that?
I know there was always talk that we were going to get cameras in the office, and we just never got around to it. When this happened, that week, within probably 3 days, I called the camera guy up and I said, I get cameras in my house and my new cameras for my house, and I want to get cameras in my office. How soon can you come out and do it? And then he came out, I'd say 4 or 5 days after that, bought the equipment and installed it that week.
Did you hire a private investigator to help you with this whole problem you were having?
With the extortion?
Yes.
No, I didn't tell anybody.
Did you get a bodyguard?
No, I carried a gun on me, and I always sleep with a gun next to me in bed, and I carried a gun on my person and had a gun in my car at all times.
She asked him if he recalled a statement he had made to Katie in the Dolce Vita recording where he said he was going to start wearing a gun.
Yeah, because for a long time, after this happened, I was carrying a gun, and it's uncomfortable, and I don't always like carrying a gun. So I hadn't carried a gun in a while, and I was going to start carrying one again.
But you did say in 2016, I'm going to start carrying one.
Yeah, I carried probably for about 4 to 6 months after this happened, and I wear scrubs, so the gun that I had can kind of stick out, and it's uncomfortable. I prefer not to carry a gun.
So you quit carrying it, but during the time you were still paying the extortion money?
Yes.
He agreed that he never came up with the remaining amount he owed, and no one ever contacted him about it. Prosecutor Kappelman asked if he was scared to break up with Katie, which he said he did about a week after the extortion. He said no, their relationship had been on the rocks and that she understood.
But you've testified that all the gifts and stuff that you gave her were to keep her happy, right?
Yeah, when I realized that she's the one who's protecting me and she wasn't a part of this extortion, I had no problem keeping her happy, and I looked for nice things to do for her because she was broke.
But not worried about pissing her off by breaking up with her.
Well, our relationship was definitely on the rocks. After July 1st, when Sigfredo cut me off and threatened me and called my dad, and then she knew I didn't even invite her to my dad's birthday party, which was a family gathering with family friends on July 5th. She knew we were going to be done.
After you broke up with Catherine Magbanua a week after the murder, did you continue to talk to her?
We still communicated, for sure.
Talk on the phone?
And texted, yeah.
And meet up?
No, the only time I would see her was I saw her again the end of August. She came and picked up the money, and that's when she asked me if I could put her on the books because none of this money was going to her and she needed to get health insurance for her kids. So I said, yeah, I'll do it and help you out.
Prosecutor Kappelman then brought up a text message Katie had sent to him in August 2014.
You text her, and then she replies, I don't need help, I'm good. Don't need favors, nor will I trust anyone again. Erase my number, please. Go on with your life like you did already and have been doing. Sorry we spoke today. I don't want to stress your life more. Don't do anything for me. Do you remember receiving that text from Catherine Magbanua?
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And that's a pretty weird text to get from the extortionist. You're meeting her to give her money. Why is she saying erase my number?
She's not the extortionist.
On 9/11,
in 2014, I didn't think she was the extortionist.
Right, but it's been revealed that she was.
In 2019. So you're taking what was known in 2019 and you're trying to say I knew what I knew in 1914.
I'm not trying to say you knew. I'm trying to say she knew. She knew she was the extortionist. Why is she telling you to erase her number and leave her alone?
Because I broke up with her.
Exactly.
She read off a few more text messages that Charlie and Katie exchanged in the months after the murder, ones that were very friendly. In one, Charlie tells her he loves her and is lucky to have her in his life.
You have now broken up with her after this incident.
Yes.
She's the person that's taking the money from you physically.
She's the one. I looked at it as she's the one who's protecting me. If she wasn't, I was going to get a visit from somebody.
Is she the one that was physically taking the money?
Yes.
Is she the one that was connected to the person you suspected to have killed your brother-in-law?
I thought she was tied to that person, yes.
And she's the one that got you into this, right? Because she ran her mouth, right?
And I looked at that I ran my mouth too. And if I never said anything to her, this would never have happened. So I felt responsible for saying something to her in the first place.
But you didn't feel responsible enough to try to do anything about her sitting in jail, an innocent woman, for 3 years. Did you?
She never contacted me.
You didn't offer to testify in her trial. You let her get convicted and get life in prison, didn't you?
I thought the truth was going to come out.
But not through you.
I was never contacted. I thought it was going to come out through her.
He was asked if his lawyers ever contacted her lawyers, and he said he doesn't know, but that he never talked to Katie or relayed any messages.
You never relayed a message through your lawyers that the Adelson family would not be talking in this case?
Absolutely not.
And she had nothing to worry about as far as that end was concerned?
That's not true at all.
Did you or your agent contact her brother to offer to assist with her attorney's fees in her case?
That's a complete lie.
Prosecutor Kappelman appeared to get frustrated as she continued to question him.
The love text, which is what I'm referring to all these texts, where you're still nice to this person after you break up with her. You're still doing favors for this person after you break up with her. I mean, that's like a major problem for your defense, isn't it?
No, our relationship got stronger. I agree. Our relationship got stronger, but it was much different.
Isn't that why she has to be an innocent conduit between you and the bad guys? Because if those texts didn't exist, she would be the extortionist and the bad actor in this whole thing, right?
I'm not following your theory.
You have to explain away those texts, don't you, Doctor?
No, I have to sit here and tell you the truth. And now you're finding it out.
She asked him if he remembered answering a question on direct about Katie once coming over to his house after having gotten into an altercation with Sigfredo.
And when you were relaying that story to the jury, you used a specific term describing what Garcia had done to her. Do you remember what that term was?
It was only yesterday, but you'll have to refresh my memory how I described it.
You said he roughed her up.
That's accurate.
And that put my antenna up because that roughed them up is the exact same phrase that Catherine Magbanua said in her proffer that you used on Halloween 2013 when you first approached her about, does she know anyone who can rough someone up?
No, I think getting roughed up is an adjective, but what you're doing is the same thing you did with your TV theory. Is like you heard TV mentioned multiple times, so you put the whole case together with the TV.
Okay,
and
we'll
you're
get
putting
to
the whole
TV.
case together with the word roughed up.
She asked him if he had been laughing during the trial while she was questioning Wendy.
Were you laughing when Wendy was on the stand and I read all the names that Donna referred to Dan Markel as?
No, I laughed when you said the word fucker in court.
Okay. What did she mean when she said Dan Markel was trying to take her sunshines away? Do you know?
My mom never said that.
No, so you never heard her say
that was made up, and he put it in a court filing, and then now it becomes something that my mom said because someone made it up and put it in a court filing. My mom never said that.
Did your mom refer to the children as her sunshines?
No, the kids were 3 and 4. A 3 and 4-year-old can't repeat a conversation and remember words 6 hours later and repeat it accurately. I have a 5-year-old son. Never seen a 3 and 4-year-old do that. So it was made up, and now you're repeating it.
He testified that he did have a certain anger towards Wendy over the last few years.
Do you and Donna have to protect Wendy?
No.
Does Wendy appreciate everything you and Donna do for her?
You got to ask her. I mean, she's my sister. I love her. I try to give her my best advice I can. And if I care about her, and I give her my advice, whether she takes it or not, is up to her. She's a grown woman.
Let me ask it another way. Do you feel, or isn't it true that you don't feel that Wendy appreciates everything you and Donna do for her?
My sister had no idea what I've been through in the last, God knows how many years, and what I wake up worrying, am I going to get killed? Am I going to get arrested? And she knows none of it. She's just going around her life, and I had somewhat of an innate anger towards her. Mm-hmm. Probably unjust because she didn't know what happened. But yeah, I was upset.
And weren't you saying on the wire that she doesn't appreciate what you and Donna have done for her?
I don't know if I said that she doesn't appreciate what I've done for her because I never did anything for her.
Okay, so that was my next question. What have you done for her? Nothing?
Other than give her advice and care about her, be a big brother that loves her.
Would you say Wendy's a little bit spoiled?
In some regards, I mean, she gets a lot of help for sure.
Is she a little less savvy about how the world works than you are?
I don't know. I mean, you got to ask her.
Could you trust Wendy with a secret that could ruin your life?
It's not a secret. It's something that would get me killed. So I didn't want to tell her.
Can we agree that she obviously knew something about this crime?
She found out when she came to court. I never told her anything.
I'm talking about the murder of Dan Markel. She knew something, right? I mean, it's not a coincidence she went to the crime scene, is it?
You're talking about the route that she took that day?
I'm talking about her pulling up to the crime scene tape.
She never went to the crime scene. She was going to buy a bottle of liquor that coincidentally the person sent her a stock the bar party buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon that she was going to pick up. She wasn't driving to a crime scene. And I think she made that clear too. Nobody knew a murder was taking place.
She pulled up to the crime scene tape, Dr. Adelson.
She didn't pull up to the crime scene tape. She was driving down the street and then had to make a U-turn. It was blocked off. But she wasn't going to.
She couldn't help herself.
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She asked if Wendy exposed them all to some degree by those actions. Charlie said no, not at all.
And she threw you under the bus in her interview, didn't she?
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She knew her husband had just been shot, and they were asking her who would want him dead, and she said your name. Are you mad about that?
No, she said a lot of people's names.
Well, she said yours in the first 25 pages of a 5-hour interview. Isn't that true?
I wasn't there for the interview.
But you've reviewed it in preparation for your trial, haven't you?
I actually don't know if I've seen her interview.
He was asked if he was mad that Wendy hasn't been charged, and he has. He said no.
I'm mad that I got charged for a crime that I didn't commit.
Do you have any innate anger with Wendy over that fact?
No, not at all.
Are you pissed that she told all that stuff to Jeff Lacoste?
I don't think she said that to Jeff, but I wasn't there.
How did Lacoste know about the celebration dinner?
That we went out to dinner. She got sick, so she may have told someone that she threw up.
And then what? He just added the part about you referring to it as a celebration?
I never referred to it as a celebration dinner. I picked my sister up. I said, where do you want to go to eat? She said she wanted pizza or sushi. I said, I know a great sushi place. We went there. We didn't have reservations. We ended up sitting at the bar for an hour waiting for our table. And she had 2 drinks and got sick.
She vomited on the dinner table. Or at the dinner table.
Yeah, she got her to the bathroom. But yeah, she doesn't drink alcohol. So those 2 drinks, and I think on an empty stomach, I think she got really sick. But there was no celebration dinner. It was the first time that she actually really left the house since she got back from Tallahassee. She was devastated. Did
you say something to her about the murder of Dan Markel right before she vomited?
Absolutely not.
Do you remember what you said right before she vomited?
She was I think she said, I don't feel well. And I say, oh no. And then she threw up.
Before that?
No, I think I said, oh no. And then she threw up.
Before she announced that she was going to be ill.
Right.
Do you remember what the conversation was?
Just how's the food? How's your I mean, we were probably about halfway through dinner. If you look at the timetable, we weren't there long.
She asked why the killers would have killed Dan first and then extorted him.
You gotta ask them.
Well, why couldn't they just come put a gun to your head and say, give me all the money in your safe?
Thank God they didn't.
Thank God they didn't?
Thank God they didn't. I would have gotten killed.
If Garcia hated you, why would he drive to Tallahassee twice to kill someone you hated?
It sounds like he was part of the extortion, or Katie put him up to it.
Doesn't blackmail or extortion usually involve the extortionist having some kind of dirt on the victim?
I know how this was done to me. I know I'm just telling you what happened to me. I'm not an expert in it.
If they had come in and threatened to kill you, would you have given them the money in your safe?
If someone came and put a gun to my head, I would have opened up my safe and I would have given them the money.
I still don't get how killing Dan Markel advances the ball for them to extort money out of you. Do you?
Yeah, I have a theory. They could extort me for life, and I don't think they knew exactly how much I had in the safe. She knew I had a lot of money in the safe. But this way I could get extorted for life, and that's what happened. And I was stuck paying $3,000 a month.
But you could have gotten extorted for life just by the threat of death by Latin King, couldn't you, Doctor?
I mean, this was as real of a threat as you get. I mean, these guys aren't messing around.
She asked if he was scared for himself and his family now that he had outed the extortionists.
I mean, I just told you that I knew that, was told then that Luis Rivera, the head of the Latin Kings, killed Dan Markel. So, I mean, I do have some concern when I get out.
Right, but even after
me.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I said I do have some concern for Latin Kings now that I spoke and told what I know.
But what about, Rivera was already in custody at one point, as well as Garcia and Magbanua. My understanding is your continued fear was due to other Latin Kings, potentially. Is that accurate?
These are highly connected people. Luis Rivera, the head of the Latin Kings, in custody means absolutely nothing. If you think he can't send somebody from the outside, you're wrong.
All right. So my question to you is, did that happen? Because you told yesterday.
Was I killed yesterday when I was in jail? No.
And nobody in your family has been killed so far?
You're talking about in the last 24 hours?
Right.
Not that I know.
Okay. But you're worried about that?
I think now that I've spoken, I do have a concern, yes.
Okay. But not too concerned to remain silent when it's your own butt on the line, right?
I'm here to tell the truth. And yes, do I have a concern now that I told you what happened? Absolutely.
Prosecutor Georgia Kappelman gave the closing arguments for the state, and she railed against the defense's theory. She said because the evidence was so compelling, Charlie had to basically admit his own words and text messages. She said he knows he can't deny paying the killers because of his bizarre practice of stapling his money.
So sometimes when a defendant can't attack the facts or the law, they instead try to explain it away by saying, you can't trust what you're seeing. It's not what it appears to be. It's actually something else entirely.
She said when you zoom in on a specific piece of evidence, you might be thinking, maybe. But when you zoom out and look at all the explanations and coincidences, it starts making less and less sense. She said you have to buy into what he's selling.
The most obvious of which is that because Sigfredo Garcia hated him, he and Rivera traveled to Tallahassee twice to kill someone he hated in hopes that he would give them money for it on the back end. Please think about that. To hit this defendant where it hurts, these two dudes with no connection at all to Dan Markel and without 2 nickels to rub together, rented a car and paid for gas to come to Tallahassee and stay in a hotel twice in order to kill someone that this defendant hated. To harm him. And for what? To maybe get money. Maybe he just turns him in for murder. Why not just kill and rob him if what you're after is money and there's no hired hit? Why not just kill and rob him if your motive is, we hate him?
She said then the bad guys don't have any contact with him. They didn't threaten him or beat him. They just sent his own girlfriend to extort him on their behalf.
And without any actual contact from the bad guys, the defendant just opened up his safe and handed over his beloved money that he had saved his entire life since he was a child. He just handed it over. Take it all. And when that amount wasn't sufficient, these stone-cold murdering gangsters let the defendant go on a payment plan to give him the rest of the money. They let Catherine Magbanua skim off the top each month. And never, over the next 2 years that he was being extorted monthly, these gangsters, remember that money doesn't go to the principal, that $3,000 a month. They never show up to demand the remaining $195,000 that this defendant has agreed to pay them.
She said the jury would need to find it reasonable that then Charlie continued to send kissy faces and love texts to Katie, a woman who got him into this mess.
And he says he didn't suspect she was involved. What? What do we know about this man? He didn't suspect she was involved. She's taking the money. He's never even heard from the bad guys. He didn't see it that way, that she got him into this mess. They grew closer after she began extorting him for $3,000 a month. Meanwhile, the defendant and Catherine Magbanua break up. She continues to maintain her direct and indirect contact with Sigfredo Garcia, the man who's extorting him, the man who murdered his former brother-in-law in cold blood. But he sees her as a friend. The kissy faces and the I love yous continue. Even after Catherine Magbanua got back together with the man who executed Dan Markel, the father of his young nephews, and a guy who's actively extorting him, this defendant continued to reach out to her over and over again to offer her favors and gifts, including a birthday gift for Garcia, and to tell her he loves her and how lucky he is to have her in his life. Lucky?
She said the jury would also have to find it reasonable that Charlie never talked about this first layer of extortion in the wiretaps. Why, she asked, because according to him, Katie said, let's never talk about this again. And so they didn't.
then you have to believe he never reported or revealed this information to law enforcement out of fear of the gangsters. And finally, you have to believe that this living in fear of death by gang members over 2 years didn't cause a change in his general demeanor that his friends noticed, but later the bump from law enforcement did. He says that's because, I became worried that I might be falsely arrested. So I wasn't a hot mess when I was being extorted by gang members and threatened to be killed and my whole family killed. But I became a hot mess when I started to get worried that the cops might be getting closer.
She said she has no idea if the jury believes Charlie or if they're so confused that they don't know what's going on. She said the defense only needs to get one of them to derail this whole thing. She then methodically went through all the evidence they had presented before turning it over to the defense. In his closing arguments, Charlie's attorney, Dan Rashbaum, told the jury that the defense didn't have to prove Charlie's innocence, that he was already presumed innocent.
Now, I think we did prove his innocence in this trial, but that isn't the standard. That's not what you go back there and deliberate. What you see in this trial is a mountain of reasonable doubt that arises from the evidence itself, from the conflict in the evidence, and from the lack of evidence.
He said Prosecutor Kappelman had asked Charlie about Occam's razor, that the simple answer is the preferred answer.
You might recall them asking that question, the very first question they asked Charlie. Occam's razor, that proposition that the simple answer is the preferred answer, is the exact opposite of what our criminal justice system is about. See, Occam's razor is a guess. We don't guess in this country. We don't assume people to be guilty. We presume them to be innocent. And sometimes the simple answer is the wrong answer. Sometimes things aren't so simple.
He said the first puzzle piece that doesn't fit the state's theory is motive, saying Charlie didn't have a motive to upend his life.
Charlie Adelson had a good life. His business was booming. He was supportive of his sister, but he didn't wake up in the morning thinking about Professor Markel. He didn't go to bed at night thinking about the problems his sister was having. He was living his life. Now, was it a bitter divorce? Absolutely. But through all of those crazy emails, are there any examples of any violence? None.
He said those emails weren't Charlie's ideas, and that the ideas in them weren't even done. Wendy never offered any of those things to Dan. Crazy ideas? Yes. An upset mother? Yes. Pushing each other's buttons? Yes. But he said even with the $1 million offer, lawyers were consulted to make sure it was legal. A far cry from a murder, he said. He said Wendy's relocation was denied a year prior to the murder. And he said aside from that, that would have no impact on Charlie.
Now, you may wonder, why did we spend so much time on cross proving Wendy Adelson's innocence? The reason being is because on their exhibit, take a look who is in their conspiracy. They circled her for you in their opening cross. See, they were guessing about Wendy just like they're guessing about Charlie. What the evidence showed is that Wendy wanted to leave South Florida. But when it was denied in the summer of 2013, she made a life here in Tallahassee.
He said the next puzzle piece that doesn't fit is who had the kids during the murder.
See, one thing that the state and the defense can agree on is that the Adelsons love these two boys. But they would have you believe that they hired hitmen twice. And both times, who had custody of the kids? They would take a risk that these boys would be injured, killed. Does that make any sense?
He said the state has Charlie and Sigfredo as co-conspirators, but that doesn't make sense because Sigfredo hated Charlie and wanted to kill him. The puzzle pieces just don't fit, he said.
There is only one just verdict in this case. Count 1, not guilty. Count 2, not guilty. Count 3, not guilty. End this nightmare. Send him home.
The jury began deliberating, and within just 3 hours, they had their verdict.
Verdict. Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Charlie Adelson was found guilty on all counts. After the first verdict was read, Charlie said no, and then dropped his head onto the desk in front of him. He was led out of the courtroom and won't be due back in court again until his sentencing, which at the time of this recording is scheduled for December 12th, 2023. He is facing a mandatory life sentence for his now first-degree murder conviction. And then, just days later, there was another arrest in the case. On Monday, November 13th, 2023, Donna Adelson was arrested and taken into custody at the Miami International Airport as she and her husband, Harvey Adelson, were attempting to board a flight out of the country. The following is from the probable cause affidavit that was released to the public on November 13th. Quote, in October 2023, the trial for Charles Adelson commenced. On November 6, 2023, Charles Adelson was found guilty on all charges. It goes on. In Adelson's trial, Magbanua testified that Adelson told her that his mother, Donna Sue Adelson, had just departed his residence at the time Magbanua arrived on the night of the homicide. Magbanua said the money she received appeared to have been washed. Jail calls from after Charlie Adelson's guilty verdict include multiple calls in which Donna Sue Adelson is telling Charles Adelson that she is getting things in order, creating trusts, and making sure her grandchildren are taken care of. Donna discusses plans for a suicide, but also discusses plans to flee to a non-extradition country. Donna Sue Adelson has considerable financial resources to accomplish this. On November 7th, 2023, Donna and Harvey Adelson booked flights to Vietnam with a stop in Dubai. The flights depart Miami, Florida on November 13th, 2023 at 8:10 p.m. Donna was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation, the same charges her son Charlie was just convicted of. And so this case goes on, with many wondering, will there be more arrests? Here's an interesting exchange between the prosecutor and Wendy Adelson's ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Lacasse.
During that conversation, she didn't have any interest in spending any time with me for the rest of the week. So it kind of confirmed, this is over. Mm-hmm. But then when she called me back, she had a series of detailed questions about what I would be doing on Friday.
And Friday is going to be July 18th, right?
Yes.
And that's the date of the homicide?
That's exactly right.
What were her inquiries of you regarding that date?
I had a trip planned to Tennessee. She was aware that I was planning to leave about 11 a.m. On Friday, I need to get to Atlanta for an early dinner, so with traffic, she knew I was departing at 11. And at the yoga studio in the parking lot, she had asked if I was still going. If I didn't go, why not? What route I would be taking. A lot of bizarre amount of interest in that trip that didn't make sense to me at the time, given that she didn't want to spend time with me.
And how does it make sense to you now?
Well, if I had left on my trip at the scheduled time that she had known about for quite a while, I would have driven pretty close to Dan Markel's house about the same time as at the murder, in a similar looking car to the suspect vehicle.
Now, there was a lot of testimony that I wasn't able to completely cover in these 3 parts. So if you're interested, you can check out the full trial over at Law and Crime's YouTube channel. And I also want to highlight some other YouTube channels who have been covering this case and analyzing it. These are channels that I have been following for quite a while now. So if you want to learn more, I highly recommend checking them out. The first one is Deep Dive True Crime. He goes by Mentor Lawyer, and he's a local attorney who does some great analysis on this case. Then there's Fancy Fiction. That's Fancy with an I. She has a great playlist on her channel of all the wiretaps in this case, and they are a fascinating listen. Then there's Jury Trial Mentor. This is Carl Steinbeck's channel. He's an attorney with prosecuting experience, and he does a lot of great Q&As about this case. Then there's Surviving the Survivor. This is a podcast that has spent years going over every new detail, and they have some really great guests come on to talk about the latest. And lastly, Judy the YouTube Lawyer. She also has many videos analyzing various court documents in this case. And that's all for this episode. If you'd like to hear these episodes without the ads, please consider joining my Patreon by going to courtjunkie.com/support.
Or last holiday with Queen Latifah. Plus, dive into festive channels like Holiday Movie Favorites by Lifetime or Hallmark Movies and more. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming holiday favorites on live channels and on demand. With thousands of free movies and TV shows, Pluto TV is your home for the holidays. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.